Well, lots of differences, I think, to start with. I think let's deal with surgical prophylaxis, first of all, initially in primary surgery. And in that setting, we follow the Scottish Guidelines networks, which is quite straightforward. They show incontrovertible evidence that in straightforward surgery, large bowels, say a colectomy, whatever, intra-abdominal surgery, a single dose, or maybe if it's a long operation, a reinforcing second dose of intravenous antibiotics is absolutely ideal. And in fact, in some studies, if you prolong the antibiotic course, the prophylaxis, to say 4 or 5 days, they actually show an increased morbidity and mortality in those groups that have the prolonged versus the ultra-short prophylaxis. And certainly the surgeons in my hospital and most British hospitals now, I think, absolutely believe that and follow that practice. And that's wonderful, because it means we get the exposure of the patient with the prophylactic antibiotics right down to no more than 24 hours. The next issue is, what do you use? Now, up until a year, 2 years ago tops, we would have almost invariably in large bowel surgery been using cefuroxime and metronidazole. But we now realise that was driving our Clostridium difficile problem massively. So everyone has retreated from using second-generation cephalosporins, cefuroxime and metronidazole for surgical prophylaxis. We've also retreated from using any of those people who use third-generation cephalosporins, stopped that completely, and 1 or 2 people use quinolones, although it wasn't very advisable. We stopped that. We keep the metronidazole on, but what do we use? Well, some people use augmentin, which I'm nervous about because it doesn't provide very good cover. You've got a poor beta-lactamase inhibitor in the form of clavulanate combined with a poor penicillin in the form of amoxicillin. In our practice, we use, rightly or wrongly, we use a single dose of gentamicin and amoxicillin. And we can do that because our
cover as prophylaxis. Since the incidence of MRSA is much high in the Western countries.
Not for MRSA, because this is primary surgery, basically. So MRSA, we don't have community MRSA. I don't know about India. I don't think anyone's done the study yet. I'm wanting to do the study with a group in New Delhi, potentially. So it may be interesting.
But you never use gram-positive cover as prophylaxis?
Not normally, no. We would use, well, our gentamicin. Most of our staphylococci, our community Staph aureus, are sensitive to gentamicin. So we don't seem to have got into trouble. Some people add flucloxacillin to the gentamicin and don't have the ampicillin on board. Now we're doing that because we want to avoid Clostridium difficile.
You mentioned that you don't use quinolones as prophylaxis. What is the reason for it?
Reason being, to be honest, our quinolone resistance rate, it's already in excess of 20%. That's true of community E. coli as well. They have a lot more quinolone resistance than we do ESBL in the community. I'm sure both are going to go up and we'll be faced with the same problem you have in India.